Aloha, listeners. Welcome back to the Your Town podcast, where the past meets the present and stories of mystery and mayhem come to life. Today, we're going to dive into a chilling chapter in Hawaiian history, the tale of the first known serial killer to haunt paradise, the Honolulu Strangler.
Dun, dun, dun.
Ooh, that is the wonderful, the beautiful, the always charming Meg.
Heyo.
From 1985 to 1986, there was a string of brutal murders that shook Oahu. Is that how you say that? That's how you say that. I'm pretty sure. Sorry, I don't have a Hawaiian accent, everybody. But either way, to get a little more serious, it left 5 women dead and an entire island in fear. A paradise lost with a killer lurking in the shadows, taunting law enforcement. Today, we're going to explore how the Honolulu Strangler evaded capture and how the case remains unsolved to this day. But be warned, this isn't your typical island story. It's dark, it's twisted, and it's going to make you think twice about paradise. Grab a drink, settle in, and let's uncover the story of Hawaii's most infamous serial killer. Top 5 intro we've done, I think. What do you think?
That's pretty good.
It was professional. I did the crack right as I said grab a drink. You can tell this is like approaching our 90th episode, and you're probably thinking, if you're watching this on the video podcast, why is this dude wearing a robe? At the time of the recording, it's December. It's officially robe season. All right? Yeah. So I
don't have one.
I got to match the hat to the robe. We're fancy. I podcast without shoes for anybody that really does care. Maybe they don't, but either way, it's a special day. Holiday season. Everybody's in a good mood in our house. We got that Christmas tree up. We got Olaf and Santa inflatables.
I think this might be the earliest we've gotten it done.
We've gotten it.
It's usually like the week before Christmas.
Right? We put it up a week before and we take it down when summer hits.
All thanks to this beautiful snowstorm.
Yes, but either way, we are sipping on this special edition 12-horse ale from Genesee that I've been super excited. I've never had one of these in my life. Shout out Uncle Phil for coming through clutch like you always do. But you're talking snow, a place that doesn't get snow, I don't think ever, or maybe it has and it's super weird, is Hawaii, depending on how probably some people say it. Let's go ahead and set the scene for the Honolulu Strangler. And I really think that to understand the impact of these murders, you have to know what Honolulu was like in the 1980s. So Meg, listeners, I'm going to bring you back. Close your eyes. Picture this. Hawaii, Honolulu, 1980s. Tourism, it's booming, and the island vibe was carefree. The 80s, they were a wild time for the country. One of the most notable sport events that ever took place actually was in Hawaii in the 80s. It's when Hawaii became the home of the NFL Pro Bowl. This was a big deal. The Pro Bowl, for anybody that isn't a sports fan, you are the best of the best in your position, or one of. You get invited, you, your family, and sometimes some players, some management. The team that wins the Super Bowl actually got to do the field for the Pro Bowl. It's a big deal, and you're going to Hawaii for 30 years. Hawaii's Aloha Stadium was home to the Pro Bowl. 1982, the population of Hawaii reaches 1 million. Costco, you might have heard of it. It's the first big box store to hit Hawaii, 1988. All good things, right, Meg?
Mm-hmm.
But just beneath the surface, the Honolulu Police Department is dealing with rising crime rates. Violent crime, it wasn't the norm, though. So all of a sudden, though, serial killers, they weren't a thing, but became a thing. From 85 to 86, the Honolulu Strangler terrorizes the island. The idea of a serial killer in paradise, it seemed impossible. But everything changed on May 29th, 1985. The first victim. She was 25-year-old Vicky Gail Purdy, a military spouse married to Gary Purdy, who was an Army helicopter pilot. It was the night of May 29th, 1985. Vicky went out clubbing in Waikiki, but never reconnected with her friends as planned. Taxi driver later reported dropping her off at the Shorebird Hotel around midnight, where she intended to pick up her car. The car was found in the hotel's parking lot, but unfortunately, Vicky was nowhere to be seen. The following morning, her body was discovered on an embankment near Kihei Lagoon? Kihei Lagoon.
I don't know.
She was dressed in a yellow jumpsuit, her hands bound behind her back, Tragically, she had been assaulted and strangled. Vicky's husband, Gary, suggested her death might be linked to her job at a video rental store, which just so happens to sell films that are intended only for adults. Notably, 2 women had been brutally stabbed to death at that store just a year earlier. So it raised questions. Was there a connection?
Huh.
What do you think? Initial.
I don't think so.
Because you haven't read through this. You react just like a lot of the listeners do. So you don't think so? All right.
No.
Okay.
My gut's telling me they're not connected.
Okay. 5 months later, another woman goes missing. Regina Sakamoto, just 17 years old, never made it to school. She'd missed her bus from Waipio to school on January 14, 1986. Sorry to all of the Hawaii people that are like, this guy's... Sorry. How would you say it? Waipio? Wapaya?
Pahu?
Yeah, one of those. I think we covered every possibility. But either way, January 14, 1986. She was last heard of from her boyfriend at 7:15 a.m. when she called to tell him she was going to be a little late. January 15th, her body was found at the same lagoon, wearing a blue tank top and a white sweatshirt. The lower body was unclothed, her hands, again, bound behind her back. She had also been assaulted and strangled. She was planning on attending Hawaii Pacific University in the fall. The second case led the police to suspect the same killer as the first, because the same methods were done to the first Vicky and to Regina. Her body was found in the same area as well, in that same lagoon, bound and strangled. The pattern was clear, but the police, they're baffled. There's no witnesses, no suspects, no motive. Then, Meg, there's a third woman.
Knew it was coming.
The third victim, Denise Hughes, age 21, a secretary for a telephone company who commuted by bus and was active in her Christian church. She didn't show up to work on January 30th and was found dead in Honolulu Stream by 3 young fishermen on February 1st. Her decomposing body was clothed in a blue dress, wrapped in a blue tarp, her hands bound. Same exact thing, assaulted, strangled. Prompted by a third body, then a serial task force was established on February 5th. The fourth victim was Luis Medeiros, age 25. She lived in that place I tried to say earlier. What was it again, Meg?
Waipio.
That's true. That's fun. Hawaii words are fun to say, right?
It's going to be different every time.
She lived in that area and had gone to Keua. That's not right. To meet her extended family because of the death of her mother. She took a late night flight back to Ohio. Not Ohio. Took a late flight back on March 26 and told her family she'd just get home by bus from the airport. She got off the airplane, disappears. Her decomposing body was found April 2nd near a stream by road workers. She was wearing her blouse, again lower body unclothed, and her hands were bound behind her back. She was strangled. Police then set sting operations, actually using police women around the lagoon where the bodies were found and near the Honolulu International Airport. Fortunately, no luck. Or maybe fortunate, I guess, that none of them were harmed. But then the fifth and last known victim of the Honolulu Strangler was Linda Pesh, age 36. According to her roommate, she left home on the morning of April 29th and was expected to be home late that evening due to a pre-scheduled work meeting. The next morning, after being told that she had not shown up for work, that her car was parked on the side of the Nimitz H1 viaduct. Her roommate was then reported missing. A man named Howard Gay told police a psychic told him a body could be located at Sand Island.
Her roommate didn't show up missing.
No, the roommate reported her missing.
He reported her missing. Okay.
My bad, everybody.
That was a big
one.
change of events.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
So there's 5. It's Linda. The roommate, she's good. Little, obviously, distraught from everything that happened. But May 3rd, This Howard Gay took police to Sand Island to an exact location, only to find nothing. Police then search the entire island, finds Linda's body. She was wearing nothing, her hands bound behind her back. She was strangled. Each victim, bound, assaulted, strangled. The killer was meticulous, leaving behind almost no evidence. So the Honolulu Police Department launched a 27-man task force on February 5th to investigate the serial killings, enlisting support from the FBI and experts from the Green River Task Force. Profilers determined the killer was an opportunist who targeted vulnerable women, typically at bus stops or other isolated areas, rather than stalking specific victims. Wrong place, wrong time. Investigators then theorized that the suspect that likely lived or worked in the area of not only Sand Island, but the lagoon where the bodies were discovered. So there's an effort to gather leads. Obviously, police set up roadblocks following the murder of Linda to question commuters. Witnesses report seeing a light-colored van near Linda's car and described a man who appeared to be Caucasian or potentially a mixed race. May 9th, authorities then arrest Howard Gay as the prime suspect. You know, the same guy that was like, hey, a psychic told me that you should check this island. Talk about trying to be deceiving, huh? Mm-hmm. His ex-wife and girlfriend described him as a charismatic but manipulative man. Both women revealed that Gay had a kind of a penchant for bondage, recalling instances where he tied them up with their hands behind their backs. This detail matched obviously the way the victims had been restrained, and Howard's girlfriend also noted that after their arguments, he would just often leave the house. And those nights, Meg, coincided with the murders.
Fishy.
Yeah. He lived in Iwa Beach and worked as a mechanic at an air freight company on Lagoon Drive. During an intense interrogation lasting from 8 p.m. to 3 a.m., he failed the polygraph test but was eventually released due to lack of concrete evidence. Despite ongoing surveillance and a $25,000 reward by a private business, the case stalls. Not a shocker there, huh? You probably could have predicted that one. And you got to think in the 80s, DNA testing, all of that stuff isn't nearly what it was, these days. So,
right.
And there's a lot of crime happening. Police only have so many hours in a day. But 2 months later, Meg, a witness comes forward. They actually claimed to have seen Linda with a man on the night of her disappearance. She actually identifies Howard in a photo lineup, but she refuses to testify, fearing that the suspect had also seen her that night. And obviously, he's out on bail, or not even on bail. He's not even arrested. So he's out there. So she doesn't want to risk it. What would you do? Would you go to trial?
I don't know. I might be too scared.
Yeah. But Howard Gay passes away in 2003, leaving the case unsolved and the true identity of the Honolulu Strangler a lingering mystery. The fear, it just griped Honolulu. Women were afraid to go out at night, and the media was relentless, dubbing the killer the Honolulu Strangler. There was pressure on the police to solve the case. Every single lead just seemed to hit a dead end. What's fascinating to me is how much of this case mirrors the early days of famous serial killer investigations. I mean, think about the Zodiac Killer, who was all over the Netflix, taunted police, or how the BTK killer operated under the radar for so many years. The Honolulu Strangler hid and kind of had that same eerie quality. Mm-hmm. After the last murder in 1986 of Linda, the killings, they stop. Howard Gay was never officially charged. No other suspects were identified. To this day, the case remains unsolved, leaving behind a legacy of fear and unanswered questions. Just one of those stories that sticks with you. I mean, how could someone commit such a brutal crime and just disappear? What about the victims' families who never got closure? It's terrible, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, there's the theories. Obviously, some believe Howard Gay was the killer, managed to evade justice. Others think the killer may have died or just simply moved off the island. And then there's the theory that someone else entirely was responsible, someone who knew how to blend in and avoid detection. Could it have been a police officer? I mean, I have to imagine just getting out of the island altogether, probably going to be pretty hard to trace, especially back then. But there's also speculation that cultural and systematic issues may have hampered with the investigation. Like we said, the police in the 80s, they didn't have the technology that we have today. DNA evidence was in its infancy, and profiling was still a new concept, especially over in Hawaii, you know? I mean, what do you think? Was the Honolulu Strangler someone that the police had in their grasp? Or was it someone who just slipped away through the cracks entirely?
I think he slipped away.
I think it was Howard. I mean, a psychic. I think that's his way to be like, oh, look at it. Oh, got you there. Oh, look at the body. And he just knew that there was nothing that was going to tie him to it. I don't know. That's what I think, anyways. You guys should let us know what you think. But either way, it's one of Hawaii's greatest mysteries and a haunting reminder that even paradise isn't immune to darkness. So obviously, thanks everybody for listening to us. This is an interesting one. Shout out to Wikipedia. A lot of information on this, but we have a quote. I think Meg would love to read the quote.
Hawaii is the island of big dreams for both islanders and guests. Those dreams, born in paradise, can indeed come true. Sharon Lania.
Nailed it. That's a good one, right?
Yeah.
Heck yeah. All right. Next week, we'll do another episode. We'll be back. We'll be 7 days closer to Christmas. Hopefully you guys are ready. You ready, Meg?
No.
Yeah, we'll get there. It'll be all right. All right. That's all we got. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, the week, your month. It's a magical month. And if you guys, as always, have any suggestions, please let us know in any of the comments. Shoot an email to matt@beardlaws.com, and we would love to cover a state or a story that you have. But for now, that's all we got. We'll be back next week. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.